James Clear was just a teenager when a baseball bat changed his life forever. On the last day of his sophomore year of high school, a classmate took a full swing and the bat slipped from his hands, flying directly into James's face. The impact crushed his nose, fractured his skull in multiple places, and shattered both eye sockets. He lost consciousness before the ambulance arrived. His body began shutting down at the hospital. He stopped breathing. Doctors put him into a medically induced coma and flew him by helicopter to a trauma center in Cincinnati. A priest was sent to comfort his parents. It was one of the worst nights of their lives. By some miracle, James survived, but recovery was long and painful. He had double vision for weeks. He couldn't drive a car for 8 months. He practiced basic motor patterns like walking in a straight line at physical therapy. When he finally returned to baseball the following year, he was cut from the varsity team and sent down to play with the sophomores. He sat in his car and cried as he flipped through the radio looking for a song that would make him feel better. But something shifted when he got to college at Denison University. He made the baseball team, and while he was at the bottom of the roster, something inside him decided to get his life in order. While other students stayed up late playing video games, James built good sleep habits and went to bed early. He kept his room neat and tidy, small things, almost embarrassingly small things, but they gave him a sense of control. He started earning straight A's. He began lifting weights regularly. Over the years, his 6'4" frame grew from a featherweight 170 pounds to a lean and strong 200 pounds. By his junior year, he was team captain. By his senior year, he was selected as the top male athlete at the entire university and named to the ESPN Academic All-America team, an honor given to just 33 players across the country. He was listed in the school record books in 8 different categories. None of this happened because of one defining moment. It happened because of many small moments stacking on top of each other over years, and that is the heart of everything this book teaches. Changes that seem small and unimportant at first will compound into remarkable results if you are willing to stick with them for long enough. To understand why small habits are so powerful, consider what happened to British cycling in 2003. For nearly 100 years, British cyclists had been mediocre. They hadn't won a single Tour de France. One of the top bike manufacturers in Europe actually refused to sell them bikes, afraid it would hurt their brand if professionals saw the British team using their gear. Then a man named Dave Brailsford was hired as performance director, and he brought with him a philosophy he called the aggregation of marginal gains. The idea was simple. If you broke down everything that goes into riding a bike and improved each thing by just 1%, those tiny improvements would add up to something significant. So, his team redesigned the bike seats to make them more comfortable. They rubbed alcohol on the tires for better grip. They had riders wear electrically heated shorts to keep their muscles at the ideal temperature. They tested different massage gels to find the one that led to the fastest muscle recovery. They hired a surgeon to teach each rider the best way to wash their hands to reduce the chances of catching a cold. They determined which pillow and mattress led to the best sleep for each individual rider. They even painted the inside of the team truck white so they could spot tiny bits of dust that might otherwise go unnoticed and degrade the performance of the finely tuned bikes. 5 years later, at the 2008 Olympics in Beijing, the British cycling team won 60% of the available gold medals. 4 years after that, at the London Olympics, they set 9 Olympic records and 7 world records. That same year, Bradley Wiggins became the first British cyclist to win the Tour de France. His teammate Chris Froome won it the next year, and again in 2015, 2016, and 2017. In a 10-year span, British cyclists won 178 world championships and 66 Olympic gold medals. How does this happen? How does a team of previously ordinary athletes transform into world champions through changes that at first glance seem trivially small? The math of small improvements is startling. If you get 1% better every single day for 1 year, you will end up 37 times better by the end of that year. Conversely, if you get 1% worse every day for a year, you will decline to nearly 0. What starts as a small win or a minor setback accumulates into something much more powerful over time. James calls habits the compound interest of self-improvement. Just like money multiplies through compound interest, the effects of your habits multiply as you repeat them. They seem to make almost no difference on any given day, but the impact they deliver over months and years can be enormous. It is only when you look back 2, 5, or 10 years later that the value of good habits and the cost of bad ones become strikingly apparent. This is also why bad habits are so dangerous. If you eat an unhealthy meal today, the scale barely moves. If you work late tonight and ignore your family, they will forgive you. If you procrastinate on a project until tomorrow, there will usually still be time to finish it. A single bad decision is easy to dismiss, but when you repeat 1% errors day after day, those small choices compound into toxic results. A slight drift in direction seems insignificant at first, but imagine a pilot flying from Los Angeles to New York who adjusts the heading just 3.5 degrees south. The nose of the plane moves just a few feet, but across the entire width of the United States, you end up hundreds of miles away, landing in Washington, D.C. instead of New York. Your current trajectory matters more than your current results. If you're a millionaire but spending more than you earn each month, you're on a bad trajectory. If you're broke but saving a little money every month, you're on the path towards financial freedom. Your net worth is a lagging measure of your financial habits. Your weight is a lagging measure of your eating habits. Your knowledge is a lagging measure of your learning habits. You get what you repeat. Now here's one of the most important and counterintuitive ideas in the entire book. James argues that goals are largely overrated, not useless, but overrated. Think about it this way. Every Olympic athlete wants to win a gold medal. Every entrepreneur wants to build a successful business. Every aspiring writer wants to publish a book. They all have the same goals. So if goals are shared by winners and losers, then goals cannot be what separates them. The British cycling team had always wanted to win the Tour de France. It was only when they implemented a system of continuous small improvements that they achieved a different outcome. Goals are good for setting a direction, but systems are what actually produce results. And there's another problem with goals. Achieving a goal is only a momentary change. Imagine you have a messy room and you set a goal to clean it. You summon the energy, you clean it, and for a moment, you have a clean room. But if you maintained the same sloppy habits that created the mess in the first place, soon you'll be looking at a new pile of clutter. You treated the symptom without addressing the cause. You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Goals also tend to restrict happiness. The implicit assumption behind every goal is this: once I reach my goal, then I will be happy. You put happiness off until the next milestone. When you fall in love with the process rather than the product, you don't have to wait to give yourself permission to be happy. You can be satisfied any time your system is running well. So, where do habits fit into all of this? Habits are the individual units that make up a system. They are the atoms of your life. Each one is a small, fundamental unit that contributes to your overall improvement. At first, these tiny routines seem insignificant, but they build on each other and fuel bigger wins that multiply to a degree that far outweighs the cost of their initial investment. That's why James calls them atomic habits. They are both small and mighty. Now let's talk about why habits are so hard to change and why most people approach habit change in completely the wrong way. Most people try to change their behavior at the surface level. They say, I want to lose weight, so I will follow this diet. They focus on outcomes, but there's a deeper and far more effective approach. It involves changing your identity. Think of behavior change as having 3 layers, like the layers of an onion. The outermost layer is outcomes, which is about what you get. The middle layer is processes, which is about what you do. The deepest layer is identity, which is about what you believe. Most people begin the process of change by focusing on outcomes. They say, I want to get fit, so I will go to the gym. But the most powerful and lasting change begins at the level of identity. Here's a simple example that makes this vivid. Imagine 2 people who are both trying to quit smoking. Someone offers them a cigarette and they both want to refuse. The first person says, no thanks, I'm trying to quit. The second person says, no thanks, I'm not a smoker. That's a small difference in words, but an enormous difference in identity. The first person still believes they're a smoker fighting their own nature. The second person has shifted who they fundamentally are. The goal is not to read a book. The goal is to become a reader. The goal is not to run a marathon. The goal is to become a runner. The goal is not to learn an instrument. The goal is to become a musician. When your behavior and your identity are fully aligned, you are no longer pursuing behavior change. You are simply acting like the type of person you already believe to be yourself. But here's the key question. How do you actually change your identity? You do it through your habits. Every time you write a page, you are a writer. Every time you practice the violin, you are a musician. Every time you start a workout, you are an athlete. Every action is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. No single instance will transform your beliefs, but as the votes build up, so does the evidence of your new identity. You don't need a unanimous vote, you just need a majority. Now that we understand why habits matter and how they connect to